All right, this is Judah with Whitaker Roofing out here in Decatur, Georgia, at the senior living home. I'm gonna kind of just walk you through a lot of the issues that I see on this roof. Storm damage, improper installation, prior repairs. I'm gonna cover all that. So one of the first things that I noticed when I hopped up on this roof is I'm going to show you your metal coping here. Just find a good spot. Looks like they're just using screws to go straight through the metal right here. A lot of these are rusted out. The caulking sealant has come off completely. You've got space in here where water can easily get in there. Slide down underneath the shingles, slide into this wall that's here. This should all have sealant on it. Wherever you have a coping seam, it needs to be properly sealed. These screws that go directly through the metal here, this is an improper application as well. You can see many points here where water can just completely get in through there behind the coping, and this is going on pretty much every seam that you see here. This is the correct screw application right here, with a washer and a head and sealant to prevent water from coming through the screw head. These just look like Phillips screws. And this is going on quite a few different areas of coping here, really all around the roof. Almost every single seam is either popped out. Here you can see spacing in here, rusted nail heads here. There's just multiple points of this coping where you can get water intrusion. So that's one of the first issues. Also looks like back here where it meets the TPO, you're having issues as well. I don't know if you can see this. TPO is starting to bubble. So that means that there's either air and water that's getting up underneath that TPO. It's eventually gonna peel this TPO all the way off the wall. And you can kind of see that bubble running all the way down here as well. Now let me get into the shingles a little bit. Obviously some major issues with the coping, flashing, TPO at the top where those seams meet, but let me get into the shingles for you here. So there's been a lot of prior repairs on this roof. There's 7 of them in just this area that I'm standing right here, just on these 3 facets of the building. So the first thing that you notice when you look at this prior repair here is that the shingles above, looks like they replaced this tab. So the shingles are replaced in tabs of 3. So 1, 2, 3 right here. Several issues with this repair. One of them being that all of the shingles above the repair are compromised and unsealed. So underneath here, you've got, looks like where they pulled out the old shingle, they had to remove this nail here from this shingle. This left a hole here. So you have a hole in the roof. Every time it rains or storms, water is gonna slide up underneath the shingle because there's no sealant underneath the tab. It's gonna slide underneath the shingle, right down into that hole and right down into the ceiling of whoever lives right below us. This also right here, I don't even know what this is, honestly. It looks like somebody put one shingle in over the top of these 2 maybe. So the shingle overlaps right here. That's an incorrect installation. None of these shingles that they put back into this area where they, looks like they might have replaced the shingle, none of them are sealed down. So they all have water intrusion points underneath them here as well. Absolutely no sealant on this shingle whatsoever, so there's nothing holding it to the roof. So every time you get any kind of wind at all, even 25 to 30 miles an hour, it's going to pick this shingle up, blow it like this. Looks like a fairly recent repair, but within 6 months, this entire area is going to be recompromised. It already has multiple water intrusion points, and this is basically what's going on pretty much every previous repair that you have up here. This right here looks like an installation issue. But again, let me see here. These tabs are completely unsealed underneath here, you can see they've been unsealed for quite some time. So you have rusted nail heads, even looks like a hole right there. This one right here, this looks like this could be wind damage. So it has cracking and creasing along the top here. This is called matting transfer. Basically where the matting pulls off the back of the shingle right here, compromises the shingle as well. This area right here is not waterproof. And then I started testing shingles. Basically what we do is you'll come and just barely grab the corner of the shingle like this, just to see if there's sealant. So this one is partially unsealed. Gonna kind of walk you down through here. This one's partially unsealed. So I'm actually testing shingles that I haven't identified at all from the initial walkthrough. Here's one right here, completely unsealed. You see underneath here, the sealant hasn't bonded. So every time you get a windstorm, the shingle's gonna get picked up. It's eventually gonna get compromised and blown off. Just walking here, here's another corner that's compromised. Here's another full shingle that's compromised. Looking down here, no sealant. There's another one, no sealant. So let me walk you up over here and kind of show you, just as a general test area. So I wanted to see, you know, how many of these shingles on this roof are actually unsealed and compromised, far more susceptible to wind than if the correct application were done and the shingles were sealed. So this is a space that's probably about, I would say 15 feet from here to this corner over here. And there's over 60 shingles that are completely unsealed. So you got this one, this one, this one, and then not only full tabs themselves that are completely unsealed, but you've also got areas where you have the corners like this that are unsealed. Wind is eventually gonna pick these up, blow them up. They'll eventually become completely unsealed like these. And I don't believe that all of these have been unsealed by wind. I think it's an incorrect, basically a craftsmanship issue where whoever installed the roof, or maybe an issue with the material as well. But needless to say, this roof is just very, very, very susceptible to wind damage. And so that's why a lot of your prior repairs are compromised. A lot of your prior repairs, they're not going to do the job. So what we say, look at all these unsealed tabs. Basically it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. So you can continue to repair this roof, but just due to the fact that you have so many unsealed shingles, and I'll show you another section on another facet of the roof as well here in a minute. These are just areas that I tested. So just, you know, within like a 5 foot by 5 foot box, tested 15 to 20 shingles, and over 50% of them are unsealed. So you can continue to repair this roof, even though I wouldn't recommend it. You can continue to repair it, but because of the amount of shingles that are unsealed, that were installed improperly, that have been susceptible to wind damage, anything like that, you're just gonna have to continue repairs pretty much, I would say, maybe every 6 months. Anytime you get a windstorm that's over 40 miles an hour, these shingles are rated for 60 miles an hour, but they really start to break down around 45 to 50 miles an hour. The wind will pick that shingle up. Let me show you what wind damage looks like. So this is visible wind damage that you can just see from just looking at the front of the shingle. So basically what happens is that over time, the tab's gonna come unsealed, and then the wind picks it up like this, flaps it like this. You get this cracking and creasing along the top where you can see the fiberglass right here. So this shingle is maybe 1 or 2 storms away from blowing completely off. It's compromised up here, cracked. This area is not waterproof, so you got water that's coming down into the decking below there. Looks like some more holes in here in the shingle. Definitely some rusted nail heads in here as well. So really looking at it from that perspective, it doesn't make sense to continue repairing it. And I'm not even sure if we could do repairs on a roof like this due to the level of craftsmanship issues that are visible up here from whoever installed it. So this is called a sliding sheet, basically where the sheet starts to slide out from improper nailing up here. There's another visible one over here. Let me take you over here and show you this. So this is a shingle that was nailed in incorrectly, and it started to slide out. This is a craftsmanship issue as well. You can see this entire tab here. Just really, it should be tucked back up here. I'm gonna tuck it back up here for you. But if you don't have somebody come back out and fix this, it's just gonna keep sliding out. So that's what we call it, a slide out. Now, let me take you up over here, show you some more of these prior repairs, more of these craftsmanship issues that are going on with the roof. So again, just standing here on this facet alone, I'm looking at 4 separate prior repairs. You know, from wind damage or from unsealed tabs that slid out. And again, all of these shingles here that are inside of these repair areas are completely compromised. So this shingle here, completely cracked up here. This area is not waterproof. You can easily get water intrusion here through the fiberglass. Looks like you have some caulking right here that was just thrown on top of the shingle. That's a completely incorrect application. And then again, you have this double overlapping of what looks like, you know, newer materials just laid on top of old materials, which is, again, right here, not the way to do a correct repair on this shingle. Compromised shingles here again in the repair area. So you can see here, these shingles, they're sealed down, but they've been compromised up here, so they need to be replaced. Because you have the cracking and creasing along here, you can easily get water intrusion in this area, and this area right here as well. Really, that's going on all over this facet right here. This right here looks like another craftsmanship issue, incorrect installation. And then if you sit here, and I don't know if you can see this, actually, let me bring you up here. Let's push this out here. Take a look at that. So our company, we like to install shingles in a straight line from the bottom to the top. Each one overlaps the one underneath it. Looks like they got off somewhere way down here, and you end up with basically a wave pool up here. You can see nothing is in a straight line. And when shingles are installed that way, they're more easily compromised because they don't sit straight and overlap each other. I mean, it's probably one of the worst installations that I've ever seen in the state of Georgia, to be honest. But let me continue down over here. Gonna keep walking this way, show you a few more things. More wind damage compromised shingles here. Take you over here. Again, this is more incorrect installation, high nailing, low nailing. So these shingles that are, this is a adhesive line right here that this shingle here is supposed to adhere to, but it's not nailed high enough for the shingle to adhere to it. Down here, this is what we call zippering. So this is caused by either wind or improper installation. Basically, the corners of each one of these are completely unsealed. So these tabs eventually, anytime, actually this one's entirely unsealed. Anytime that you get a windstorm, again, super susceptible to wind. So just the sheer amount of problem areas on this roof. I don't know what material this is, but you know, whatever shingle was used, it's not adhering correctly to the shingles. So you really don't have a system that creates a water barrier, a locked-in waterproof barrier, which is really what you need on any roofing system, because 50% of the tabs on this roof are they're unsealed. So let me take you over here to one of these other facets, and I'm going to show you really just the level of like the percentage basically inside of a test area of shingles that are unsealed. So I tested all of the shingles. There's another previous repair right there, you can see. Here's another shingle here that's been, you know, I mean, obviously this has been nailed completely incorrectly, overlapping almost an entire layer of shingles. Looks like they're trying to make up for how they got off here installing it. They're trying to make up here, so they kind of slide this down. That's going to create problems and water intrusion as well for you. But I did a little test area over here because I was curious how many shingles on one facet of the roof, what percentage of one facet is going to be unsealed if I test every corner. So just looking, this is just one facet of the roof. So this is probably 4% of the entire roof coverage, okay? Right here, tested every shingle on this slope, and you have 60 of them that are unsealed. So that's in the ballpark of 45 to 50% of those shingles that are completely compromised. Water intrusion points underneath every single one of them. You're gonna have rusted nail heads. Areas right here, you can see some rust getting in there. Every single one of these tabs has been compromised. All these nails are rusted out. That means that water is hitting the top of these nail heads that are underneath these unsealed shingles, and it's sliding down into the underlayment and decking that's below the shingles themselves. That's going to create water that sits in that decking. That water that sits in that decking is eventually going to make its way to the interior of the property. Again, I'm on the complete other side of the building. Same issue with the coping flashing here. Looks like just screwed straight through into the wall behind it. No sealant whatsoever. That's an easy water intrusion point. And that's on literally almost every seam on your roof here. So, yeah, this one you can see completely rusted out. I don't even think it's actually fastened to the roof anymore. There's just so many issues up here with the current roofing system, the way it was installed, the material that was used. Like I said, you could continue to repair this, but it's going to be basically a situation where you have to continue to repair it to prevent water from, you have to continue to repair it basically every 6 months until you've repaired the entire roof. So at that point, our recommendation is going to be to come out here and replace the entire thing. With the amount of wind that you guys get here in this area, there's nothing blocking you because the building is so high. So you have a straight line for any windstorm. We get 60 to 70 mile an hour winds at least twice a year in Georgia and in this area as well. So there's going to be a lot of damage that's caused up here, to these unsealed tabs. There's going to be a ton of damage that's caused to these tabs over the next 6 to 12 months. Even if we were to come out here and repair the portions of it that we can see visible wind damage on, we would just be back out here within another 5 or 6 months repairing different portions of the roof that are wind damaged because the tabs are completely unsealed. So